Hey, what's going on, sports fans? This is Sean with boxingandbasketball.com here with my co host. We have Matthew Rayner. What's going on, Matthew?
Hey, another beautiful day down here in San Antonio, enjoying the little weather before it gets hotter than hell here in a month or so.
I hear that. Oh, look at that. We picking up. We got 16, 18, 19, 20. They all hitting live. Well, since y'all ain't here and y'all jumped on right away, 20. All right, we're going to get right into it. Matthew, let's start off topic number one. Luka. The NBA officially suspended Luka for tonight's game against Washington after his 16th tech of the season. A double tech with Zaire Williams and Friday's win over Brooklyn. The Lakers appealed and lost. He'll miss $317,000 game check
Oh,
on a $46 million salary.
let me get
Matthew,
that.
it is Luka's temper becoming a real problem, or did the Lakers actually luck out getting this out the way against a tanking team?
I mean, I come on here every time hating, talking about Luca's temper, talking about Luca complaining, talking about Luca yelling at the refs, talking about Luca dirty looking at his teammates. I mean, and then they keep appealing these texts, and they won the appeal a week ago. They got that tech rescinded, then he just got another one. And I mean, at some point you got to stop appealing the text because, we can see what we see with our own eyes. I
Right.
mean, clearly he's earning these texts. Clearly he's the instigator. And then, afterwards we're supposed to believe like a couple weeks ago, oh, Goga Batazde said terrible things about his family. Yeah, give me a break. Give me a break. 6 points a
Right.
game. Goga Batazde on the horrible Orlando Magic. And I hope we're going to talk about them, that 31-0.
Oh yeah,
Anyway,
that's
I
coming
hope we're
up.
going to talk about that. But like, Luka's the initiator every time. You know how I know Luka's the initiator when it's the opposing team? Because he's
How?
the initiator when it's his own team. I mean, he dirty looking at his team. He throwing his arms in the air. It's very obvious. He's got a poor attitude. Now, he's a great player. He's a very great player. I do think come playoff time, it's going to be hard to give him 25, 30 shots a night and still be effective when teams are game planning just for him. But obviously, he's a great player. I mean, he's been killing it. So, yeah, I mean, you get it out of the way against the Wizards because, damn, I mean, even against Brooklyn where he got that tech, it was 41 for him again, 15 for 25.
Right.
So get it out of the way against the Wizards. But, without Luka shooting 30 shots, maybe LeBron and Reeves and Hachimura can see what their team's going to look like, what it's going to look like to play team basketball when you don't have somebody, putting up 30 shots. Because look, it's all good right now because he's dominating right now. But come
Right.
playoffs, you can't do that for 4 rounds. I mean, there's rare players, but I think they're going to be game planning for him come playoff time, and I think it's going to be a lot harder to get that every night. But one
Right.
thing he can do is fix his attitude.
Yeah. All right. So listen, here's the silver lining that nobody's mentioning, right? By
Mm-hmm.
getting a tech number 16 now, he resets the count and would need two more to get suspended again, which is nearly almost impossible. I ain't gonna say impossible with just 7 games left. He'd be kind of stupid if he got that with just 7 games left. The timing is actually ideal, right? So the bigger concern is whether that emotional edge that earns the text is the same thing fueling his 40-point averages because you can't have one without the other.
Man, you could definitely have one without the other. Like you can be a great player and not have a shitty
Okay.
attitude. I mean, there's a lot of great players that don't have shitty attitudes. I mean, one of them. I mean, I know we make fun of SGA sometimes for the foul baiting, but he's got a great attitude. Wimby
Yeah.
has got a great attitude. Now, Wimby can scowl at the opponents, and sometimes he gets competitive, and sometimes he looks indignant when he gets fouled. But his
Uh-huh.
attitude toward his teammates is great. His attitude toward the referees is generally good. Um, Most of the other players,
Uh-huh.
there's rare ones. My favorite player obviously is Westbrook. Sometimes, he's gotten a little feisty with different players on the league. Harden obviously used to get pretty feisty with the refs. So
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing they have in common is that they never got that chip. So Luca, you burn that hot, and sometimes you burn everything around you. And if all your teammates are walking on eggshells because you're mad at them all game, that's not competitive drive. That's not competitive spirit. I mean, one player got
Right.
away with that, and that's Kobe. And Luka's great. I
Right.
don't know. I don't know if he's Kobe. And
Yeah.
even Kobe, found ways to bring at least one person in, bring Gasol in, wrap him up. So you got to have friends in this league.
Right.
And I don't think Luka's attitude is conducive to having friends. And maybe he's talented enough to not need friends. Maybe he's talented enough to just go his whole life with a shitty attitude. But in terms of life, Sean, things go a lot easier when you have a good attitude.
Right. And Matthew, so a couple of things I want to touch on also, right? So the league was furious and upset. Was that a few days ago when he should have had his 16 technical back then? And he said, "Oh, the guy said something about my mom in the language." And, I went back at him and they reviewed it. So, all right, we're not going to give it to you. But Luka turned right around, bit the hand that fed him, and turned around and got the tech anyway. He avoided it just for a few days, but he came right back around. Like you say, you always talk about how he whines and cries and all that, but this time it bit him.
I don't even buy this nonsense about him getting the last tech rescinded against Batazde and the Magic. We're really supposed to believe that Batazde, this lifelong role player that's my age almost, I'm 32. I think Batazde's 31. That's got by in this league, carrying his lunch, lunch pail guy, chop wood, carry water. We're supposed to believe that this guy was talking about the family of the biggest star in the league. I don't buy that for a second. I don't buy it for a second. It's shady. It's fishy. And I'm sure if you're the Lakers, you go with it because you're trying to get Luka's suspension rescinded. But you get it suspended. You get the tech rescinded, which, why, so give him a little slap on the wrist, and then he just gets it again 2 games later. So I'm almost sure he'll get a couple more. It probably won't affect them because I don't think you get suspended for the playoffs. Even I think it resets in the playoffs where you'd have to get like 7 or something. So it's obviously not going to affect them in the playoffs, but this is the time of the year where you want to be playing your best basketball, which I think a lot of people would say Luka is. So why get yourself kicked out of these games because of your horseshit attitude? And
all right,
great player, but I think unless he fixes that attitude, it's going to be hard for that team to make a run because they're not going to come together come playoff time.
Right. And listen, I want to leave this out there to the fans. Do y'all think Luka gets away with murder? I want you to drop your comments down below. Hey, look, and don't forget, at the end of each show, we'll be reading your comments and we're going to post it right there on our YouTube channel. So make sure you check it out.
Make sure you be nice.
All right, topic number 2, Matthew. So Jaylen Brown has missed the last 2 games with the left Achilles tendonitis, and Boston is trying to play it cool, listing him as day-to-day. But Peyton Pritchard, which is your boy, stepped up with 28 in Sunday's win over Charlotte. But this is the playoffs knocking on the door. So Matthew, how worried should the Celtics fans be about the word Achilles 2 weeks before the postseason?
I mean, you don't love it, but let's assume that it's not something crazy serious. Let's assume it's just he's aggravating. He's not gonna really be hurt. What you don't like here is you have a chance to press because the Pistons, the team you've been chasing all year, is all of a sudden without Cade Cunningham. So in theory, you would have had a chance to go get the number 1 seed. Now they've lost. They lost a couple games integrating Tatum. So I don't think they're going to catch the Pistons for the 1 seed. But in theory, you had that chance. And so you have these bumps integrating Tatum. And it's like, how is Brown going to give up being the lead dog all year? Is he going to want to do it? And I think the answer was going to be no. I think for at least this year, it was going to be Brown's team. But now Brown's injured. And now Tatum's there.
Right.
So now Brown misses a week. You got to reintegrate him. Then Tatum says, it don't take long for a star player to say, okay, this is my team again. I mean, because it's been Tatum's team. Besides the first couple of years with Kyrie, it's been Tatum's team. He's been the 1A and Brown's been the 1B. So, I mean, that dynamic switched at the end of this year when he came back where Brown was kind of the 1A. But it's not going to take that long for Tatum to say, no, I'm the star. I mean, you look at that game the other day against the Hornets, which, I mean, that's a great win to beat the Hornets. Yeah. Hornets have been the hottest team in the NBA, maybe second and third hottest team. Tatum puts, you're talking about Pritchard. Well, let's talk about the star player. Let's talk about Tatum. Plus 15, 32 points, 12 for 23. I mean, just an all-around good game. So, when he's reintegrating the offense and Brown's putting up 30 and Tatum's putting up 15 because he's shaking off the cobwebs, it's like, oh, this is Brown's team. But if you're saying you put Tatum at the 1A and he's putting up 35, now Brown comes back in a week, I feel like it's just the worst time for a Brown injury, because this is where you want guys to be clicking, you want guys to know their role, and what it's going to end up being is maybe a little bit of an awkward your turn, my turn. But I think Joe Mazzulla is a good enough coach, and the schemes are good enough, and like the star role players that are stars in their role are good enough to where maybe you can get away with maybe the schemes are good enough that you don't have to worry about like whose team it is. But I remember, one recent example I remember in 2020, the Rockets were beating everybody up and they had Harden and Westbrook. But then, Westbrook's playing the best ball of his life. He injures his quad. He comes back in the bubble. The fit's never as seamless as it was before he injured his quad. Him and Harden never quite got on the same page. Brown and Tatum have been playing together a lot longer than that. But you just, if you're the Celtics and you're Brad Stevens and you're Joe Mazzulla, I just think this injury couldn't come at a worse time, because this is the time you want to be gelling. This is the time when you're peaking at the right time. It's when you're peaking right now, heading into April. And so you're trying to integrate Tatum. Now you're going to have Brown out for a little bit. And I just don't like the timing of all this for Boston.
Right. And listen, to follow that up, so the Celtics have been quietly managing this. Brown originally showed up on a report with just a calf tightness, and then it got reclassified to Achilles, which is, never a word you want to hear, upgrade in severity, right? Mm-hmm. But Boston just hit 50 wins and clinched the top 4 seed. So the smart move is just to bubble wrap them, right? Just set them out. But if this lingers into April, their entire defensive identity changes. Brown's on-ball pressure is what makes their switching scheme work, and Pritchard just can't replicate that.
Yeah, and I mean, if you bubble wrap him right now, I mean, there's still 7 more games. So you bubble wrap him right now, then you're saying, oh, okay, well, he's going to get his groove back in the playoffs. Oh, we're going to integrate him and Tatum seamlessly into the offense together in the playoffs. So, I mean, I don't have it in front of me right now who's the 7 seed. It's basically a logjam right there with Miami and Orlando and Charlotte. And yeah, like if you get Orlando, you could probably work it out in the first round. But if you're playing like a team with like defensive principles like Miami, or you're playing a team that's hot as hell like Charlotte that on any given time can just burn 10 straight 3-pointers on you, not 10 straight, but you know what I mean? Any given time can go 10 for 15 on a stretch from 3. I mean, that's dangerous times. If you bubble wrap Jaylen Brown right now, and you play Charlotte, or if you play Miami in the first round, especially you play Charlotte, I mean, those are dangerous hours. So, I mean, I see what you're saying.
Let me give you those. So the 7, 8, 9, and 10. 7 is Philly, which is 41 and 33, and they got the big 3 back, which we're going to talk about that in a minute. Then you got Orlando, 39, 35. That's who you really want. And we're going to talk about how they blew it just the other day. Miami Heat, which is 39, 36. Miami Heat really isn't too big of a threat. To me, they're not, right? I think they're just in the 9th place just because the East isn't really that strong. But number 10 is Charlotte Hornets, a 39 and 36. The crazy part, Matthew, we talked about this other day, how you talked about how well below 500 they were. And now they 39 and 36, right? Mm-hmm. This team is really firing all cylinders, even though they lost the other day when the big 3 came back for Philly. But still, any other team besides the top 2-3 teams, Charlotte's going to do really good. But yeah, so like you said, if things were to stay it was right now, unfortunately it'd be against Philly, but I don't think that's how it's going to stay.
I mean, even if it was against Philly, we're about to talk about how Philly's got their big 3 back and how their big 3 look good. Now, there's no guarantees, because you know how it goes with Embiid. And there's no guarantee the playoff P is going to be hitting them consistently. I think I think he's a great player, but I think at this stage of his career, there's no guarantee that he's gonna be hitting them consistently. I'm a huge Paul George fan. Huge fan.
Are you a bigger fan of Paul George, or are you a bigger fan of Westbrook?
Oh, that's not even close. It's Westbrook all day. But I'm actually a pretty big fan of Paul George because I watched him play with Westbrook for 2 years in OKC, to a lesser extent when they played together with the Clippers. But the second year Westbrook and Paul George were together was probably Paul George's best year of his career. And,
Right.
that year he was like a 6'9" Kyrie. It was like,
Yeah.
he had the size, he had the defense, he had the shooting, he had the handle. It was
Yep.
like, I always say, if you could make, now, this isn't to say who's the best, who's not the best, but if you were creating
Yeah.
the perfect basketball player in the lab,
Uh-huh.
you'd probably spit out Paul George. Now
What?
there's no now look, there's
Okay.
intangibles, all of that. We know
All
he's
right.
not the best player, but in terms of having the whole package of size, handle, shooting, defense, if you were in the lab making a perfect basketball player, you'd come damn close to Paul George. Now at this stage of his
Hey, hold on,
career,
hold on. Everybody that's out there, 48 listeners live right now. If you're in that chat right now, drop your comment down below if you agree with Matthew. Go ahead, Matthew.
and it's not just, I mean, there's intangibles. He's missed out on some big moments. He's been on a lot of teams that choked in the playoffs. But I'm just saying, in terms of, the package he's bringing, he's a pretty damn good player when he's at his best. And so you put him, Embiid, Maxey together, and you're the Celtics, and you might have to
Uh-huh.
play them in the first round
Mm-hmm.
without Jaylen Brown, or with Jaylen Brown come missing 7 games. So that's why, if he's healthy, I don't know about bubble wrapping him, because 3 out of 4 of those teams you might have to play in the first round are going to
Okay.
give you trouble. Now, I know you're sleeping on Miami, but Miami's a team no matter what players are on their roster. And I know we can't name but maybe 3 or 4 players on their roster, but that's a well-coached team that's always going to have good defensive principles. And when you're coming back from an injury and your shot's rusty and you play a team like Miami that's going to put you in hell with their defensive principles, then things could get ugly. And even if you win the series, it could stretch longer than you want and go 6 or 7 when it should have went 4 or 5.
Okay. All right. We'll go with that then. All right. We're going to move on to topic number 3. Listen, we just talked about this the other day about the Orlando Magic. So Toronto scored 31 unanswered points against Orlando, the largest unanswered run in the play-by-play era, breaking a record held since 2023. So Scotty Barnes had 23 points and a career high 15 assists. Orlando turned the ball over 12 times in the first quarter alone. Matthew, is this the moment the Magic season officially just went off the cliff?
Bro, some of those turnovers, I was watching the game. I had it on League
Now you're
Pass.
watching it live while it was happening.
Well,
I caught the highlights.
I saw somebody tweeting about it or putting on threads about it, so I threw it on, like, during the run. I mean, it might have
Yeah.
been a 17-0 run, and I threw it on, and I saw it get to 31. And it was some of those turnovers the Magic were committing were those turnovers where you say, this coach is going to get fired because these guys aren't even trying. It was the kind of
Yeah.
turnovers. There was a game I saw in the tournament the other day, and I can't remember who it was, but it was man, I saw one where they were just turning over, and that's what the Magic looked like. No, it was the Grizzlies. I was watching the Grizzlies play, I think, the Spurs the other day, and the way they were just coughing it up every time, not getting back on defense. You say, okay, this might be a young coach. He might be, a hot shot, whatever, because the Grizzlies coach is from Finland. I know I'm getting off topic, but he might be an international hot shot. But once players start turning the ball over like that, it's like they're not playing for the coach anymore. And I was seeing those kind of turnovers from the Magic, even amongst guys that are like usually disciplined, like Jalen Suggs, who like kind of make their bones on being disciplined, smart, fundamental players.
Bless you.
They were all turning that thing over. And Mamu, who I remember from his San Antonio days, I can't pronounce his whole name. Mamu Shakavelli. They say it Mamu Kashavelli, but they all call him Mamu. He was just getting rim runs. They were making Mamu look like Hakeem Olajuwon out there, man. The way he was just getting to the rack and dunking it, because they were just turning it over and he was getting free runs at the rim. And I just don't know what happened to these guys. They're 39 and 35. They obviously just got their ass kicked in this game, gave up the 31-0 run. At the beginning of the season, they looked like, I'm not saying they were world beaters, they were championship contenders, but they looked like a team that was going to make it to the second round, be like a young core that had something to build on, that maybe it was going to take their licks in the playoffs, but had something real to build on. But the shooting, maybe the last 10 to 15 games, has been abysmal. They don't have anybody, especially with Franz Wagner out with injury. They don't have anybody that can consistently make the three. that the defenses respect. You got like at least three players out there at any given time that the defense can sag off of, including your best player, Paulo Banchero. But that doesn't have to kill you. But what's killing them is they just gave up. I mean, they were just throwing the ball back over. And when you're trading 2-pointers for 3-pointers, you can't be coughing that ball up. And they were just throwing it right to Toronto. Because, I mean, some of those steals were, some of those steals are from the guards, but Mamu, the big man, was getting some of those steals. And so when you have like a big man going in there and reaching in, taking your cookies, that's how you're just not really playing hard. I mean, that was embarrassing, man. I mean,
so let me ask you this, Matthew. And this is a little bit off topic, but we're gonna bring it back, right? Which one's worse? Those 19 turnovers just in the first quarter alone,
Jesus,
or I'm sorry, 12. I meant to say 12 turnovers. Or Cam Boozer's turnover with 2 seconds left in Duke against UConn.
Hey, that happens every year in March Madness. Cam Boozer's a college kid. It's although was it him or was it Caden?
It was Boozer.
Yeah, they're both Boozer. They're both Boozer.
But Cam Boozer, which one? Was that Cam or
it's the hot prospect? I think it was.
Let me see which one was it?
I'm pretty sure it was the one that's not. It was the one that's not the hot prospect. And I'm pretty sure Cam's the hot prospect. No, it was Caden. I'm pretty sure. I would bet dollars to donuts that it was Caden. Yeah, it was the brother. It was the brother Caden.
His brother. Okay.
And so he's not the big prospect, but here's the deal.
Yeah, Caden.
Here's the deal.
Yep.
We see that kind of stuff like every year in college. I remember Jerry McNamara, the guy that just got hired to be Syracuse head coach. I remember him going ice cold for Syracuse in the tournament, then coming out after the game, kind of like Caden did, and say, "I cost my team the game." So every year in March Madness, you're gonna have a young hotshot that's gonna struggle, that's gonna make a dumb mistake, but we're talking about NBA players. We're talking about the Orlando Magic, a team that's potentially going to play in the National Basketball Association playoffs, being on pace for 48 turnovers after the first quarter. And some of those turnovers, just a lack of effort, just nothing. And they were just giving dunks to Mamu. Mamu scored 19 points. I swear the whole time he was in San Antonio, besides that one game, because he had one game where he randomly had 30. You take out that game, I don't know that he scored 19 points the whole time he was in San Antonio. So
are you telling me that Jamal Mosley, the head coach, is probably going to be fired within the next 30 days?
I think when they start playing that way, it was. I haven't watched a whole lot of Magic, and I don't want to be putting coaches on the hot seat left and right. The coach for the Grizzlies, the Finnish gentleman that coaches the Grizzlies, I think he's out for sure before the end of next year. Jamal Mosley, I'm not sure because they were overachieving at first. They look good. Now they've fallen off a cliff, but I would say that seat's getting a little warmer to where he's having to stand up a couple times because it's starting to burn. That seat's getting a little warm because some of those turnovers were just complete lack of effort turnovers. And I know what that looks like because I've been watching the Sacramento Kings all year. So I know what lack of effort turnovers look like.
Yeah.
And the Magic committed, like in that, of those 12, like 8 or 9 of them were just like, oh, I don't give a shit turnovers.
Well, look at this. So when you go back and watch it, right, it wasn't even really a hot shooting streak that the Raptors forced. Shooting streak. The Raptors forced like 12 turnovers during that run and turned them into 19 points. That's like a defensive avalanche. Orlando's problem is structural. They're bottom tier in 3-point volume, so every possession feels like they're trying to score in a phone booth. They've now lost 7 of 8, dropped to the 8th seed. Staring down a playing game against the Sixers team that just got healthy. That's like a nightmare matchup.
Hey, look at this. If you're going to be a team that don't make 3-pointers, you better play some defense. Look what the Raptors. The Raptors shot 57% from the field, 45% from 3. I mean, you can't win when a team's playing like that. Those are like 2K numbers. I mean, I could put on 2K right now and maybe not shoot 57.4% for the game. Right. I mean, that's on easy mode right there. Yeah. And shout out Markelle. Markelle got 7 minutes. I'd love to see Markelle back in the league. He was actually balling.
Talking about Fultz?
Markelle Fultz. He was balling with the Magic a couple years ago. He figured out whatever the issue was with his shot when he got in the league with the Sixers. He kind of figured it out. He had his comeback with the Magic. But
Yeah.
then injuries derailed that. He's been out of the league for a few years. But it got so bad that this man that's been out of the league for a few years got to play for 7 minutes. And shout out him. Like that's wonderful. I love that Markel's back in the league. But this guy that ain't played in like 3 years is getting to play 7 minutes on you because his team's already beat you by 40 and they're shooting 57% on you. I
You
mean,
know what? You know what? Let me ask you that, and I want you to pick back on that, Matthew. There's two people. When you said that, you know who my mind automatically went to when they talked about Markel fixing a shot. My mind automatically went to Lonzo Ball, right? Let me ask you this, Matthew. The same guys that made these guys top prospects, they love Markel Fultz. You know, for what he did to get where he was at to the NBA. So does Lonzo, right? Should you have changed both the guys' shot to something a little bit different? I mean, it got them where they at, obviously.
I mean, I honestly don't know what happened with Markel. I mean, his shot was a little weird, but it was just inexplicable the way things went in Philly, where it was like
It was crazy.
where he wasn't playing. The rumors were that he was scared to shoot, but like, we don't know what's really going on behind the scenes. So his situation, I'm gonna claim ignorance on. Lonzo's shot needed to be fixed. Lonzo, when he came in the league, had one of the ugliest shots I've ever seen. Lonzo's shot was hideous, and but it's a real shame because he had figured it out. By those last 2 years, he was healthy. One of those years with the Pelicans and in limited minutes with the Bulls, he had got his 3-point percentage. One of those seasons above 40, one of them damn near close to 40, and he was averaging for that season where he played like 65 games with the Pelicans. He was averaging like 14, 6, and 6. I think he was finding his role. He was a great perimeter defender. He was playmaking at a high level. He was hitting the three-pointer. I think he was settling into a role. And if not for injuries, because he just had some gruesome injuries with his knee. I believe he got somebody else's knee inside of him right now, or I think he's playing on somebody else's kneecap or whatever the story is. He's playing on somebody else's something, somebody else's right leg, somebody else's kneecap. I don't know. He's playing on somebody else's something. But I think despite how he came in the league with that ugly ass shot, I think he had totally figured it out. And I think he'd be a borderline all-star Jason Kidd type player if he could still play. But we saw in limited minutes this year with Cleveland that I think the injuries have just decimated his body too much. He can't get separation. He don't have any burst. When you can't get separation, you can't make shots. His shooting percentages were down. But I think he's a hell of a playmaker. I think he's an A- playmaker. I think he's a B+ perimeter defender, maybe could be A-. And so like with Markel, I don't know what went on there. But with Lonzo, I really think he figured it out. And I think it's like a huge what if that's kind of slept on because people don't really talk about it. I think it's a huge what if he didn't have these mid-career injury problems.
Yeah. And listen, man, the Orlando Magic, man, they went on that 31-0 drought so long that the arena started playing elevated music. It was bad.
They were clearing out. And if you're Boston and you're working to get Jaylen Brown
Licking your
back,
chops.
You're licking your chops if you can get them in the first round. Because if you get them in the first round, then you can experiment with lineups. You could say, okay, here's our Brown lineup. Here's our Tatum lineup. Here's both of them. You can play around because if they play like they played the Raptors, you're going to be up by 40 after the first quarter anyway.
Right. And Matthew, we're going to switch over to topic number 4. I know people are probably going to get so tired of us talking about this, right?
We're going to keep talking about it.
You have to talk about – and Matthew, I want the people to know we're not just talking about this team just because you live in San Antonio. We're talking about this team because they deserve it. San Antonio has won 24 of their last 26 games with an 8-game win streak, and 18 of those 24 wins came by double digits. They're 56-18 with only 2.5 games behind OKC for the top overall seed. Wemby is averaging 26.8 points and 3.6 blocks over his last 10. So, Matthew, are the Spurs the team you least want to face in the 7-game series right now?
100%. I mean, I don't remember the last time I seen them play a close game. I mean, they're just now. I checked before I got on here, and I don't get
Yeah,
this
well,
whole
what's the
thing.
score right now?
It was
Because
four.
they started off like 5-2 before I came up there, and the coach called a quick timeout
It,
fast.
it was 49-41 Spurs when I came to here, and they got this dumb thing with
Let's
these
see.
games aren't even on NBC, they're on Peacock, and I don't have Peacock, and so I can't watch it on League Pass because it's blacked out. I don't have Peacock, so I'm in San Antonio, Texas, and I can't watch the damn game unless I want to get Peacock, which I think is bullshit, but that is neither here nor there.
Oh, right now, is Spurs got 74, the Bulls got 57 with 9 minutes left in the
Okay,
third quarter.
and
So they just took off.
that's every game. I mean, every game they're just putting belt to ass. And we're about to talk about OKC, and OKC is going to hit the hardest part of their schedule. Right now, they're on a back-to-back. They played the Knicks last night. They won. They got the Pistons, and that's tipping off in like 3 or 4 minutes. Now that game doesn't seem as tough because, of course, you're without Cade if you're the
But
Pistons.
we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. It's going to be our last topic tonight.
So we're going to get to that. I think the one team that conventional wisdom says can beat the Spurs is OKC. The Spurs are 4-1 against OKC in the regular season. I don't know how they played 5 games. That must have been an NBA Cup thing because I've been telling people all year that they're 3-1. They're 3-1 against OKC, but they must have played them once in the Cup on like one of the advanced rounds because I heard it playing teams 4 games in a season. I ain't never heard it playing a team 5 games, but the Spurs 4-1 against OKC. A couple of those games we totally went belt to ass. But there's all these videos are getting around, Sean.
Yeah, real quick, you're right. It says they didn't play OKC 5 times just by normal scheduling. The extra game came from the NBA Cup, the in-season tournament knockout game counted towards the regular season total.
See, that's what I thought. And I'm seeing all these highlights. Wemby's the first player where I'm seeing highlights, not of his blocks, not of his dunks, not even of his assists. I'm seeing highlights of guys thinking about shooting, putting the ball up like they're going to shoot, then not shooting because it's just like the defensive impact, the fear of seeing Wemby there. And I understand that SGA is probably going to win MVP this year, but I think it's only because it's almost impossible to quantify how good Wemby is on defense. Because if there was a way to quantify, if there was a way to, it's interesting because the young teams always got to take their licks in the playoffs. And so that happens. It happened to the Nuggets before they won. It happened to the Bucks before they won. But this team is peaking at the right time. I haven't seen them play a close game. I mean, they've been winning games for weeks, but I really ain't seen them play a close game in 2 or 3 weeks. So, I mean, it would really be something for them to get in the first round. And let's see, right now they'd be playing the Suns in the first round. I don't see them losing to the Suns. But say they beat the Suns and then they got to play the winner of the Lakers and Rockets or the Lakers and Nuggets, whoever that ends up being. That would be the interesting series. That might be the series that would prove someone like Brandon right because those are established teams. The Nuggets have been there before. They won it. A lot of the Lakers have been there before. LeBron, of course, has won it many times. Luka's been there with Dallas. You have to play Houston. Of course, they got Durant. Then they got a bunch of unproven guys. But, there's going to be a team you have to play in the second round. And depending on how they come out of that second round, I think that's going to say a lot about how they do against OKC. If they have to go life and death, go 7 games with whoever they play in the second round, whether that's the Lakers, the Timberwolves, the Nuggets, then you got OKC waiting in the third round. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say they're not going to collapse in the playoffs. I mean, this is one of the better teams I've ever seen with my own eyes. And you got to go beyond the records. You got to go beyond the Wemby highlights. You got to go beyond the stats. If you watch this team from Wemby to Keldon Johnson, who I think is the favorite for 6th man of the year, to Stephon Castle, who's just like a whirling dervish out there doing a little bit of everything, to Devin Vassell hitting shots from everywhere on the field, on the court, to all the dunks and rim runs they were getting the other day when I saw them play Memphis, just because these guys play with such cohesion and are such good teammates. Right. I think you got to watch this team play, and I don't see them collapsing in the playoffs. I don't see that, but the second round will tell us a lot.
All right, there you have it. And listen, just to follow that up, the numbers are staggering, right? So during the 24-2 stretch, the Spurs owned the league's best offensive rating and a top five defensive rating, which gives them the plus 12.3 point differential. That's historically elite right there. They've also got seven guys averaging double figures. So you can't just game plan for Wemby, right? The scary part, Castle and Fox are peaking at exactly the right time, and the backcourt versatility is what makes them matchup proof.
And they're hitting an easy part of their schedule. They've beat a bunch of easy teams, the Grizzlies, the Bucks. They got the Bulls tonight, who they're already putting belt ass on. Then they've got some mid-level easy games. They got the Warriors and they got the Clippers coming up. So if you're OKC, you better win tonight, and you better be winning because the Spurs got 3 or 4 more easy games. And if you're OKC, you lose a couple, all of a sudden you could be looking up at them in the standings.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So moving on to topic number 5. Philly got Embiid, Maxey, and Paul George all on the floor together Saturday for the first time since January 29th. Embiid went for 29. George had arguably like his best game in Philly uniform with 26 and 13 rebounds and a win over Charlotte. They're sitting 7th at 41 and 33. Matthew, if the Sixers are healthy for the play-in, is anybody safe?
I mean, for the play-in, absolutely not. I mean, they'll win that first play-in game right away, especially if they get the Magic. Obviously, everybody wants the Magic, but if they go into the play-in at the 7th seed, home court advantage, Paul George, Maxey, Embiid, they're definitely going to make it past that. But the issue is, you get in at the 7th seed, you play Boston. You get in at the 8th seed, you play the Pistons, although maybe the Pistons without Cade. But what I'm looking at with the Sixers, and also they beat the Hornets. What happened in the Hornets? That's 2 losses. That was our hottest team in the league. Now we're talking about them having 2 losses in a row. The thing I wonder,
you're talking about Boston and Philly. I mean, geez, these are some top tier teams.
No, these are some top tier teams for sure. Who else the Hornets lose? They lost to Boston, Philly. Okay, but here's my deal with Philly is look at that bench. I mean, once you get past Maxey, who's been your one player who's been consistent. I mean, he's played 62 games, but not only that, he actually leads the league in minutes. So, obviously he's been your guy that's been there most of the year, been incredible, been forced to play the lead dog role, averaging 29.7 assists on 46, 37, 89. I mean, that's a beautiful stat line. But then you got Embiid, who's been in and out of the lineup. Then you got Paul George, who's obviously missed the 29 games with the suspension, but was playing extremely, extremely inconsistent for most of the year, to the point where, Edgecombe was a more reliable third option at different points than Paul George. So you wonder just what they can do, but with the talent and with Embiid, if you end up playing the Pistons and they don't have Cade, I mean, that can get really interesting. I think that can get really interesting for sure.
Right. So here's a stat that should terrify every East Coast team. In the limited minutes, all 3 have shared the floor this season. The Sixers' offensive rating spikes to like elite levels. The problem has always been availability, not talent. Like you said, with VJ Edgecombe's emergence as a legitimate 4th option gives them something they didn't even have before. A guy that can create his own shot when the stars are resting. If they draw Orlando in the 7 versus 8 play-in game, that's a massive talent gap in Philly's favor.
No, it's a massive talent gap for sure. And also keep in mind that the Sixers have won the last 5 games that Embiid played. I mean, it makes a huge difference just because even if he's not at full speed, just like the gravity, the amount of people that got to drop down low to guard Embiid because he's just, one of the most skilled big men of all time. Then you got Edgecombe, then you got Maxey, then you got Paul George, and you even got like role players like Grimes and Oubre that can hit 3-pointers open from 3. So, I mean, having Embiid there, even if it's somewhat as a decoy with, him not being at full health, draws so much gravity down to the bucket that you're going to get so many easy baskets for everyone else. And that's why even when he's not at full health, that's why they've won the last 5 games that he's played. So if you're the Pistons, I just don't believe that Embiid's going to be healthy for a full playoff series. Because in theory, if you're the
Nobody
Pistons,
does.
you're right. And in theory, if you're the Pistons, you should be scared at the idea of having to play a fully healthy Sixers team without Cade Cunningham. That should scare you because you could actually lose that series. But I guess nobody trusts that Embiid would actually play a full playoff series. I think people would be more likely to think Cade's going to come back and play the full series than to think Embiid would stay healthy and play the whole series. I mean, he's 35 games this year, 35 games this year after playing 19 games last year. So that's 2 seasons, 54 games. But having said that, if he's there and it's Pistons versus Sixers, because I don't think I'm picking Sixers over Celtics, but if it's Pistons versus Sixers, I think that could be interesting for sure because you got shooters on the team. You got a lineup full of nothing but shooters. So if you got Embiid drawing all that kind of attention down low, then it's going to open up the game for everybody else.
So Matthew, do you think Daryl Morey gets enough credit for this team he put together with Embiid, Maxey, Paul George, Edgecombe? Because he drafted Edgecombe at what, number 3, right? He was a 3rd pick. What do you think it is that Daryl Morey saw in Edgecombe? I mean, for the 3rd pick, he could have pretty much picked almost anybody, right? But what was it about him, do you think, like, man, this is going to be a good fit with these 3 other stars that I got?
I mean, because he can do it all. He can hit shots. He can rim run. He's athletic. He's switchable on defense. I mean, there's a lot to like there. But if you want to ask why he's not getting credit, it's because the team hasn't been playing. Paul George missed 25 games. He's been inconsistent when he's been playing.
Well, listen, let's take away the injuries, right? I know we got injuries, but the fact that he was able to put these 4 together that work cohesively. Let's just say they stayed healthy all year. I mean, he did a great job putting these 4 together?
I mean, nobody's, it's a dog eat dog league, man. Like, I know it's a cliche, but nobody's patting you on the back and giving you a standing ovation for going 40-33 and being 7th place in the East. I mean, sure, on paper, you put together a good lineup, but it is what it is. Embiid hasn't played. Paul George hasn't played. Edgecombe's been great and was obviously a great draft pick, but the idea that he's been your 2nd best player for big stretches of the season, that's not something that you would have liked coming into the season. So, yeah, I mean, he can get all the credit in the world for, drafting the best 2K roster. But in terms of actually playing the basketball games, them cats ain't been there. And so if somehow they all come together and they put it together and they make a run in the playoffs, then, we're all going to give him a pat on the back and a shoulder rub and a standing O. But until that happens, then
Matthew, let me ask you this. I know this is a what if. It's a big what if. But what if the 5th person on that team was James Harden still?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say because just the way Harden gets, Harden, if he was still on Philly, he might wake up one day upset about some documentary he saw about the American Revolution in Philly, or he might get an eastern wind from the Atlantic Ocean, and he might decide he don't want to play that day. I mean, he still very much has it. He can still make buckets. He can still play make. He doesn't play defense, but he never played defense. But I watched him and Kawhi dominate some games and go on a 21-6 run just for Harden to ask for a trade away from the team. So it's just too big of a what if because it didn't work in Houston, didn't work in Brooklyn, didn't work in Philly. Him and Embiid don't even talk. They had some viral moment just of them saying hi to each other. That's how bad their relationship is. Yeah. So, I mean, it's nice to think, oh, well, if you had Harden there and you added him to the mix with those guys, they'd be dominant. But in theory, that should have been Brooklyn with KD and Harden and Kyrie. But it just don't quite work with Harden for whatever reason because he just, he feels different on different days. And on one day he wakes up and, he thought it was going to be 84 degrees and it was 73 degrees. And, that makes him demand a trade. And, but yeah, if he was there, he was locked in, everyone playing 82 games, which, you don't get that. But they'd be a contender for sure until he demanded a trade after a 21-6 run.
All right, cool. Moving on to our last subject, last topic of the
That's a
night.
topic.
We just talked about it earlier. Detroit visits OKC tonight. Should have started like maybe what time? About 10, 15 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
On Peacock, like you said. And the Pistons
Wow.
could become the first team to sweep the Thunder in 2 seasons. OKC is 59-16 and going for win number 60, while Detroit sits at 54-20 without Cade Cunningham, like you mentioned earlier. So my question to you, Matthew, is who wins tonight, and does this game tell us anything about a potential finals preview?
Man, before I say that, I'm scrolling off this other page I had pulled up for VJ Edgecombe. I didn't know his first name was Valdez. That goes kind of hard. I like when somebody's got a last name as a first name.
Valdez.
Yeah, he should go
Yeah.
by Valdez instead of VJ. That goes kind of hard. Um, the Pistons, they got everyone on the bench today, man. I was wondering why the Thunder were like 12-point favorites. And now that I'm looking at it, no, I mean, we got to say the Thunder should win this game. Now, the Thunder are in the second half of a back-to-back, so, that could be a problem. But if you're the Pistons, you, of course, got no Cade Cunningham, but you also have no Tobias Harris. You have no Jalen Duren, who, man, I got to watch some more Jalen Duren. Every time the Kings or Spurs play the Pistons, all the announcers are just talking about Jalen Duren and about how he's like this next level, next generation talent. I don't even really remember what draft he was in, but every time my team or my two teams, every time they play the Pistons, everybody just raves about Jalen Duren. And the numbers pass the test for sure. So I definitely got to watch some more of him. But anyway, he's out. So if you're Detroit tonight, your best players out there are Duncan Robinson. No, I'm sorry. Duncan Robinson is out as well. Your best player out there is the Lesser Thompson brother, Oscar Thompson. And, starting Paul Reed, Javonte Green, Danish Jenkins. Oh, this is Cade Cunningham's backup. This is the guy we were talking about him the other day, how he's going to have to come in and fill Cade Cunningham's role the next 2 weeks, averaging 9, 2, and 4, Mr. Danish Jenkins. So, yeah, OKC's on the second half of a back-to-back, but it looks like Detroit's almost bending the knee and giving them this game. So if you're the Spurs, you probably don't like that. But, yeah, they're not. And then they're not playing anybody tonight. And OKC's fully loaded. They don't got Jalen Williams out there, but they got Dort, SGA, and Holmgren all playing. So, yeah, you would expect if it was a 13-point favorites OKC, you would expect the number to be somewhere around there. But as somebody who's doing this podcast from San Antonio, I would love them Detroit bench warmers to pull the upset. Paul Reed, pull it out the hatch, Paul Reed. Paul Reed's been in the league forever. He's one of those guys, or, you see Paul Reed and you're like, he's still in the league? How are Paul Reed? Damn. Paul Reed is only 26. I remember him in Philly on that team that beat the Wizards in the first round, the last Ben Simmons team. And, he don't really play. So, when you see him, you're like, he's still in the league. But now I'm clicking on his basketball reference. He's only 26. But it's man, he came in the league as a bench warmer. So it's crazy when you come in the league as a bench warmer to year 7, it boggles the mind a little, but that means he's working his ass off to still be out there. But having said that, if you're the Pistons and you're starting him, you're probably going to lose to the best team in the league tonight.
Yep, and to follow that up, Matthew, so OKC just beat the Knicks in the clutch last night behind SGA's 10 four-quarter points. But this is a back-to-back situation for the Thunder, like you said, right? And Detroit's defense is no joke, right? So they do play defense. So they lead the league in steals and blocks. I don't know if you know that, which is a combination we haven't seen since the early 90s. Now, the X factor, like you said, is Danish Jenkins. He's actually been averaging 20 and 8 since stepping in for Cade.
Ooh.
So if he can handle the moment on this stage, it tells you Detroit can survive the first round without Cunningham.
Yeah, but Cade Cunningham is one of the best shot blocking point guards in the league.
Yeah.
Jalen Duren's your big. He don't get as much blocks as some other bigs, but he gets about a steal and a block. So when we're talking about the shot blocking, a lot of that's not actually out there tonight. Their boy Beef Stew Beef Stew's not playing tonight. He's their leading
Yeah.
shot blocker. So when
Mm-hmm.
we talk about their defense and their X factor, they're missing a lot of those X factors tonight. But man, Danish Jenkins been balling. And I was
Yeah.
about to say, man, I'm gonna watch these cats. I'm gonna put this game on. But then I realized it's not on NBC. It's on Peacock. And so it's on Peacock.
You need Peacock.
Man, if I'm already paying for League Pass, what the hell I'm gonna get Peacock for to watch like one game a week when
I had to do that.
half the time the game's on NBC, but in my local market, it's supposed to be two games. When they have basketball games on NBC, it's supposed to be a 7:00 game and a 10 p.m. game. In my local market, San Antonio, they play the 7 p.m. game. Then instead of playing the 10 p.m. game, they go straight to the news. And I only know that because I've missed a couple Kings games this year because they went straight to the news. So I don't know about this whole Peacock racket, but I do not support it. I do not support this racket.
I had to get Peacock. I had to get Amazon and the League Pass just to watch all the games.
Bro, I'm too broke for all that noise. I pay League Pass and I'll get League Pass and I'll threaten to cancel every month so they lower my rate. You go on Amazon and say I'm about to cancel and they say, what if we drop you from $16.99 to $11.99?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, fine. You pulled my leg, I'll do it.
Yep.
But I certainly
next month you do it again.
Next month you do it again. They say, okay, we're not gonna drop you to 11, but we'll say $13.99. You say, okay, fine, whatever. But I ain't certainly if I'm doing that, I ain't getting Peacock. Hey, I ain't doing it.
Oh man. All right, so Matthew, we appreciate that. Fans, before we get out of here, we're gonna go to your favorite thing where we're actually gonna go over to your comments. So Matthew, let's see what we got this time. We'll hit TikTok. Seems like we got more hits on TikTok.
Be nice.
They already started off when we talked about Luka. The guy says, "Soldier just white bro. Are you just now turning your TV on to watch Luka and the Lakers? He's been playing like this all year. If that wasn't the case, he wouldn't be leading the league in scoring and be the third seed in the West."
Which one of us do you think he was talking to? Hey, he's having a good game. Let's see him keep doing it in the playoffs because that's when the defenses are all going to game plan for the guy shooting 35 shots a game. So yeah, he's been doing it all year. Let's see it happen in the playoffs.
All
right. We lost our questions.
All right, comments. Here we go. We had that one. Then we'll go to this one right here. My screen went black. I don't know how I like that though. We were talking about Wemby. Somebody said Berta Segura. In God we trust. Amen. Hey, boy, there are some big Wemby fans, ain't they, out there?
Hey, Gilberto Segura. He's from where I'm at. Probably he probably from around San Antonio with a name like that.
All right. Comments. We go back here. Somebody said 100 on Jamal Murray. Let's see if there's any more comments.
That's all he had to say. Short and sweet and to the point.
Yeah. Then we have somebody called Texas Boxing. Let's see. GSG, here we come.
What's that stand for, Sean? Come on, it's so easy. They say it all the time here in San Antonio. What's that stand for?
I don't know.
Spurs, go.
Oh, that's what that is.
That's what that is.
Oh, man, here we come. Okay. All right. And I think we got one more here. When we talked about Atlanta, bad take. They're making the second. Is that turnaround?
I think he's trying to say second round. Bad take.
Oh, second round.
Man,
they're making the second round.
Bad spelling.
You think they're gonna make the second round?
Hey, you want to talk about our bad take, and I don't even know what he's trying to say. They making the second TM round. Yeah, I don't even think I disagree. Like I don't even remember, unless he was trying to say they ain't making the second round and his grammar was that bad. Because I feel like our take was that they could make like the second round, and that was their ceiling. So maybe he just saw the headline or he saw the clip or something, and he didn't read the whole thing. Because I think, if I remember right, our thing about Atlanta was probably second round at most. So
right.
So who's to say? I tell him read Reading vocabulary, reading comprehension, Sean. It's important stuff.
Right. All right. So let's do this. I'm gonna switch over for y'all fans out there. We're gonna switch over to your YouTube. We only had a couple YouTube here.
That better
All
be
right.
nice.
So right here, the only ones that we really had, we just had a couple. But the one we talked about, Luka finally getting MVP. Oh, that's just it sounds like a spam bot. The content is clear and easy to follow. Help me understand. All right.
I like
The
to
only
think that's real.
other one we got was CJ Collum and Jaylen Johnson are making the Hawks dangerous. This was a day ago. So tomorrow night's home game against Celtics is huge. Losing in Boston is no embarrassment, but holding your own at home is a must. Excuse me. Hawks have to come out tomorrow and beat a big team like Boston. CJ has not been shaking the playoffs, and his average could go up. His Blazers teams have won many rounds, made it to the Western Finals.
No, we pulling rank on that because they made it to the playoffs every year. So you're saying they went to the Western Conference Finals once, and you're saying that's evidence that he hasn't been shaky in the playoffs? Look. Those Portland teams went to the playoffs 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. They made it to the Western Conference Finals once. Damn, he's kind of, I mean, his rookie season, he kind of sucked. I mean, his numbers look damn good in the playoffs. Maybe this guy's onto something.
Okay.
Who was that? Who said that?
Stocks Group Ward 5922.
Man, we need to get him on here. He's onto something. CJ's playoff numbers look great.
Yeah.
Man, I was talking right.
And the last guy, Mike Rossful, wishful thinking from a well-intentioned Hawks fan. Bless his heart.
Who's he talking about? Neither of us are Hawks fans.
Yeah. Maybe he was talking to somebody earlier. Maybe he was talking about Stocks Group Ward.
Oh yeah. Maybe he's replying to that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But shout out Stocks Goop Ward for being right about CJ. And he said it emphatically. He said CJ has not been shaky, all caps. And hey, the numbers say he was right.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna do one more here, man. We had a lot of comments on this one. This was like 10 days ago, a week ago. I didn't even realize that we even had this. I didn't check our Instagram, so let's share that screen. And this seemed like it was a hot topic when we did the video about you won the SGA title, then take it, says former NBA player.
Damn, the first guy's telling a story.
Yeah, let's go down. Well, is there a way we can view it by? We can't view it from. All right. You don't have to win a championship to be the face of the league. You just have to prove night in and night out that you're simply the best player. Braun, first 7 years with Cleveland, didn't win a chip, but he was arguably the face of the league at the time. If not Derrick Rose, neither one of them had a chip. Braun's consistency to take any time to the playoff made him the face of the league. Joker got a chip, but never will be the face. But also, what comes with being a face of the league is not only how good you are, but are you actually marketable? I think that's what a lot of people forget. Larry had all the chips, was never really the face. Magic came with the game and smile and instantly was the face. It's more than just basketball.
The guy just rambling. I mean, Magic and Bird, that was the rivalry. Larry was never the face. I mean, most of us, like in my generation, never watched Larry, and we still associate Magic and Bird. So, I mean,
yeah,
Bron, his first 7 years was probably the most popular player, but, I think at different points, Kobe from about 05 to 010 was considered the best player. Mm-hmm. And the idea that Larry Bird wasn't marketable, I mean, I think the life of Pablo, I think he had a lot to say. I don't know how accurate a lot of it was, Sean.
Right. All right. So, the narrow. These podcasts might, man. What? Right. These podcasts might, man. I'm not sure what that means. I don't have it. He didn't say Shy was the face. He said, go take Shy trophy and then do it again if you want to be the face. All right.
He ain't lying.
He ain't lying.
Talk.
Yep. Umbo Dragger 60. Yep. OWAP 11. Ant.
He wants to drag Ant into it. What's Ant got to do with
85, this? Izzo 85. Take it. like a
Like an
what is that?
iPhone?
Like an iPhone or a Louis Vuitton. This mannerism would be the death of many.
I
All
couldn't
right.
see that emoji. I don't know what the hell he's saying.
Yeah, it look like a phone. So Cheat Code Entertainment, Mike ain't take no trophy. They was calling him the face when he was getting swept for 3 years straight.
Straight hating.
Mm. Alaraz, ring culture has literally killed NBA media.
Mm.
He had a reply there. Did it
They
show
had
up?
to
No,
hide
okay.
it because whoever said something,
Yeah,
someone said something terrible,
yeah.
and they had to hide that.
This guy said, Coke, boy, stop. He beat Magic on his way up the league. He never beat the Pistons, Celtics, or Lakers at their peaks.
Man,
Interesting.
what are you talking about? Damn, 275 likes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, boxing and b-ball Instagram.
Dang, did we have anything else? Let me see any other comments besides that one. That was a lot. That's as far as down as it goes. But
Man,
man, we appreciate y'all comments, man.
looks like Cheat Code Entertainment had a hell of a lot to say. You were writing stories on our shit.
All right, there you have it. Listen, once again, we appreciate y'all checking us out. You know, you can always check us out every Monday, every Thursday. Matthew is growing because right now we've been averaging 48 to 50 live viewers. When we first started on January 1st, we are doing like 2 or 3. So it's definitely growing. More people are leaving comments, man. We appreciate y'all checking us out. And as always, man, leave y'all comments on our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, YouTube. We will post it. We will go over your comments to give you a little bit of love. As always, in the live chat, like Brandon got on Matthew about the Spurs. Yeah, welcome to leave your comments down below, and we'll post it as well. And just make sure you like, subscribe, keep sharing this, man. We appreciate all the love. Matthew, what do you want to say in closing?
Hey, my favorite part of the week. I rushed down from Austin to get here. And so it's always a pleasure talking basketball with you, Sean. I'm looking forward to Thursday.
All right, there you have it. Till next time, me and Matthew, we signing out.